Good afternoon, and welcome to the 16th Annual Tri-City Crystal Apple Awards for Excellence in Education. My name is Rich Cummins, and it's an honor to serve you today as the MC. I'd now like to invite Dr. Lou Gates from Columbia Burbank up to the podium to award his awards.
First, I'd like to also say thank you to all of our sponsors. Again, they were just read to you, and we couldn't have this event without our sponsors. So let's give them a hand one more time. We had special guests who came tonight to celebrate Gary Eby's receipt of the Crystal Apple, and I'd like you to stand as I read your names. First, his dear wife, soulmate, fellow teacher, Marilyn. His two lovely daughters. His daughters and their families. And grandbabies, and also extended family. Thank you. His school family and supportive friends. Thank you all for coming tonight. Gary Eby teaches social studies and advanced placement U.S. history at Columbia High. I'm going to have you stand just a little bit further. But more importantly, I had him stand up here. If those who know me well know I'm half blind, so now I can see him. More importantly, Gary brings history and a way of life in a way that helps students connect to the world around. Thank you, Gary. As current student Mackenzie Small explains, never in my entire career as a high school student have I felt so submerged in a wealth of knowledge. In Mr. Eby's classroom, I feel as though I am a sponge absorbing tons of information. Mr. Eby provides mass amounts of history, facts, and figures in a way that is engaging and entertaining. It is not uncommon to hear rock music blaring from his computer speakers. Kind of dates him just a little. Not just because Mr. Eby loves music, but because the song and lyrics might provide the backdrop for his next lesson. If you hear Mr. Eby yell, "Witch!" in a blood-curdling tone, you know his class is examining the power of accusation surrounding the Salem witch trials. His classroom is covered with posters and timelines that entice young learners long before they take his courses. Mr. Eby uses a blend of novelty, variety, technology, and a host of strategies to instill in his students a sense of pride, accomplishment, and maturity. Columbia High School principal, Mr. Kyle Miller, says Mr. Eby displays an expert blending of intense work ethic, thoughtful preparation, and consistent follow-through. He has a gift for being able to offer constructive criticism while also offering potential solutions. Mr. Eby teaches with passion and heart. He has a true desire to instill as much knowledge as possible in his students and connect this to today and today's world. He begins each class period discussing current events and historical anniversaries, not because they are in the day's lesson per se, but because they are part of life's lesson. Thank you. He is able to connect the dots between the past and present to bring his students to a place of real understanding, while also leaving them with a thirst of knowledge and understanding. Fellow teacher, Kelly Griffiths explained that his influence reaches far beyond the classroom. He has a talent for reaching students who are traditionally not invested in learning about history and law. Gary is doing more than preparing his students to participate in a democratic society. Gary, you are inspiring your students to actively engage in learning outside of the school day. For that, I say thanks. A habit that will make your students lifelong learners. Gary's ability to inspire affects the culture at the school by promoting real scholarship among the students. Just as he is there for students, Gary is also a valued colleague, described as a quality collaborator who also sees challenges and opportunities and is always ready to offer solutions. And in his spare time, he serves as a wrestling coach and a former fast-pitch coach, and mentors students in Knowledge Bowl, who, by the way, are going to state this year. The other thing that I'd like to share with Gary is sometimes Gary uses trivia. For example, in reflecting on the 19th century, the late 18th and the early 19th century, he asked his students, why was George Washington standing in the bow of the boat as the Army crossed the Delaware? From the back of his room, one student said, because George Washington knew if he sat down, he would have to row. Gary Eby likes to quote the late 19th and early 20th century satirist and humorist Will Rogers, who said, everything is changing. People taking their comedians seriously and politicians as a joke. During a recent class event for the 21st century, Mr. Eby quoted the new Tonight Show host, Jimmy Fallon, who said, just one day after the U.S. gave Ukraine $1 billion, the EU announced it was giving the Ukraine $15 billion. It's kind of like when your sister gives your mom a fancy necklace for Christmas right after you give her a pair of socks. His lectures are captivating and dynamic. He exercises these in storytelling and theater. As a former student, Amber Wilcox notes that just walking into his classroom each day filled her enthusiasm with learning. She says, when you walk into his classroom and see him greet you with excitement, that makes you feel recognized and special. As one of his students, his passion for and unrivaled knowledge of his content area, his compassion and understanding of the needs of each of his students, and his ability to connect with students, engage a range of learning styles and levels is astounding. Tonight, just as he is there for students, he is here for you tonight. Please join me in congratulating Gary Eby for his outstanding contribution to education. I appreciate it very much. You are still in color, too. Thank you. Thank you. You're the gift. Okay.
Just when you think Lou would never forget anything, he forgot to introduce me. I'm Lance Hahn from the Findlay School District, and it's a pleasure to be here. And this is a very important award for our outstanding teachers. I would like to point out that when it was asked for teachers that had received this award before, please stand up, there were no superintendents that stood up. So, good afternoon. It is my great pleasure to recognize one of Findlay's finest teachers who exemplifies our mission of all kids achieving. That is the pinpoint focus of Miss Christine Witt, that each and every student in our school will achieve. She cares deeply about her students and is the first person who colleagues turn to when they have questions or concerns about a student. The strong work ethic that she models every day is an inspiration for both her students and her fellow teachers. At this time, I would like to invite Chris to the stage. Family and friends in the audience, will you please stand? I met Chris's family tonight, and I don't know how she has time to be a teacher because she's got quite a family. Very proud of them always. Chris is in her 14th year of teaching at Findlay Middle School, during which time she has taught language arts and a variety of elective classes. Not only does she teach 6th and 7th grade language arts in Findlay, she is also a leader in our district. Chris serves on the building advisory team at the middle school, on the district curriculum committee, and as the GLAD liaison for the district. Not only did Chris take the lead in setting up a dedicated workroom and professional development program for Findlay's GLAD teachers, but she also has been instrumental in implementing our new Read 180 reading program this year, and that was volunteer. Chris is highly respected and valued by her colleagues, continually encouraging them to challenge themselves to become better educators. A paraeducator working in Chris's room noted that our students who rarely speak in other settings start to show a different side of themselves in Miss Witt's classes. The students at Findlay Middle School are also challenged and inspired by Miss Witt. Chris has high expectations for her students while fostering a safe environment that helps students to believe in themselves. Students genuinely feel safe and cared for in her classroom. In the halls of the middle school, you will see Chris greet students by name, asking them about a recent sporting or band performance. She holds her students accountable for their behavior and elevates their learning to new levels. She actually was a teacher tonight for me because she reminded me to turn my cell phone off. Chris is always going the extra mile to make Findlay Middle School the best learning environment for her students and fellow teachers. She actively seeks out and implements the best research practices and is the first to volunteer for extra activities at the school and in the district. Chris is one who coaches extracurricular activities and takes the lead in planning social events for faculty. Her participation sets an example for students to become good citizens in their school and community. Another teacher at Findlay Middle School and a former Crystal Apple winner, Miss Teresa Howard, sums it up best. Chris is an unforgettable teacher, that favorite teacher that you love to be around and wish you could just stay in her class for the rest of your education. In closing, as superintendent of Findlay, I am proud to be standing on this stage with Chris Witt. She is an inspiration to Findlay students, educators, and to the teaching profession. Congratulations, Chris. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dave Bond, Superintendent, Kennewick School District.
So good afternoon. Thanks to everyone for attending this event to honor our Crystal Apple Award winners. I want to thank all the folks who were involved in the planning of this event, and particularly those folks who are involved in securing all the awards for the outstanding efforts that they put in, because this makes this really a truly wonderful event. It's my privilege to introduce the two Kennewick teachers who have been selected to receive the Crystal Apple Awards, and I will do that in alphabetical order. They represent the hundreds and hundreds of outstanding teachers that we have in the Kennewick School District. We'll begin alphabetically with Mrs. Mary Bean. For 31 years, Mrs. Bean has inspired students to achieve their best and teachers to be their best. Now, I know that she has some members of her family here, so if you'd kind of quickly stand and be recognized, family and friends for Mrs. Mary Bean. I know her husband's here. There they are back there. So as a high school science instructor, Mrs. Bean is a type of educator that sees her students not merely as science students, but as whole people. From teaching biology to anatomy, she reaches out to all of her students to create one-on-one relationships and an open environment where students are comfortable asking questions. To provide you with some perspective on what she does, Mrs. Bean's students are the type of students that can be found dissecting cats and taking a trip to the WSU Cadaver Lab. That's a place where her students truly have the opportunity to say, "I see dead people." One of her current students says, "Mrs. Bean taught me more than any other teacher I have had, and she did it in a way that kept the class fun and exciting. She has found the perfect balance in her classroom, which makes it an extremely easy and enjoyable place to learn." But her contribution to student learning does not stop at the door to her classroom. Mrs. Bean is a district leader in science instruction and curriculum development, frequently sharing her expertise with her colleagues. She successfully developed a biology collection of evidence course at Southridge High School and collaborated with other science teachers in the district to do the same. She is currently helping her fellow teachers at Kennewick High School develop a biology collection of evidence course for next school year. Mrs. Bean was a driving force behind developing an anatomy and physiology class at Southridge High School to challenge high-achieving students. She devotes countless hours to supporting student fundraisers, to make field trips to places like the Salmon Summit and the WSU Cadaver Lab. Her most recent endeavor was the launch of an anatomy club for Southridge High School students. Apparently, we are not the only ones who think Mrs. Bean is an outstanding teacher in her field, because she has had the honor of being selected last year by Washington's Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction to participate as a member of the Biology Collection of Evidence Course Committee. In true fashion, Mrs. Bean sees this opportunity to provide the expertise and knowledge of classroom instruction and curriculum development to define how students across the state of Washington would fulfill the new biology requirement. OSBI's Director of Assessment Development, Mrs. Cinda Parton, says, quote, "Mary is a truly exceptional educator. In addition to her strong knowledge of science and the standards, she brought a deep understanding of the high school students' strengths, weaknesses, and preconceptions in science to the work of developing the collection of evidence. Mrs. Bean continues to impress us each day with her knowledge, her skill, and her dedication to her work. We are confident that her talents and contributions to the students in Washington will only continue to grow. Please join me in congratulating one of our two Crystal Apple Award winners, Mrs. Mary Bean. Do a little shuffle here. So our second Crystal Apple Award winner for the Kennewick School District is Mrs. Linda Willingham, and I know that she's got some folks here. I saw her husband, her daughter, so the folks here supporting Mrs. Willingham, if you'd quickly stand and we'll recognize you. Thank you for being here. If you work in education, you most likely remember that one teacher who inspired you to become a teacher. For me, it was Mr. Mitchell, my sophomore English teacher at Evergreen High School in Vancouver. Mrs. Linda Willingham, however, is that person for many of her students. For the past 20 years, Kamiakin High School has had the privilege of having Mrs. Willingham as a family and consumer science teacher in the career and technical education program. She teaches, and get this list, child psychology, food science, career and consumer connections, team read, and serves as a culminating project mentor. How's that for a schedule? Mrs. Willingham creates a classroom environment that is filled with respect, acceptance, and student encouragement. Students look forward to taking classes from her year after year because she works hard to understand her students and she develops strong and meaningful relationships. She is a caring, trusted adult to her students and is always ready and willing to listen. Linda is a leader in her department, and other staff members look to her for guidance and expertise. She was always ready to help out new teachers and welcome them into their new positions. Emily Wakeman, one of Mrs. Willingham's former students, who is now a Kamiakin teacher, says the following, quote, "Since my first day as a teacher, I told myself I want to be a Mrs. Willingham. I must choose to have compassion every single day. I must strive to reach all my students. I must make my classroom a meaningful place they will not forget, a place that shows them that they will have what it takes to follow their dreams." End quote. Mrs. Willingham has accepted many new challenges during her career, including the development and implementation of the Alternative Learning Experience option for the Culminating Project and a child psychology course, which quickly became one of the most popular among our students at Kamiakin. She has a passion for understanding brain development and seeks to expand her knowledge in this area by frequently attending workshops on the subject. In the classroom, she knows her subject matter and connects students to real-life examples whenever possible. Mrs. Willingham has been instrumental in helping the REACH develop an educational component for high school students in the Tri-Cities, and she graciously hosted classes and workshops in her classroom so that her students would have the opportunity to learn from those community members. Mrs. Willingham is well known as a mentor for the popular Team Read program at Kamiakin High School. She implemented the program that provides an opportunity for high school students to mentor elementary students with the goal of making them better readers. Each year, students rush to sign up for the class because it fills up so quickly. She devotes countless hours outside of school time to keep her students engaged and well-trained as Team Read volunteers. Her students find her encouragement and excitement contagious and apply this same energy in their role as mentors to young students. It's my pleasure to congratulate Mrs. Linda Willingham as our second Crystal Apple Award winner for the Kennewick School District. Congratulations, Linda. Thank you, and now it's my privilege to introduce Wayne Hahn, Superintendent of the Kiona School District, to introduce his award winner.
I want to acknowledge Holly's, Mrs. Pryor's family and friends as well, if you could stand. Innovation in education is something we all recognize and admire as a trait which truly separates the wheat from the chaff. As administrators, we are tasked with continuously working to improve instruction for our students. When you are fortunate enough to have a teacher such as Holly Pryor, you simply facilitate her internal desire to create excellence for the students under her watch. As a math teacher at Kaibe High School, Holly exemplifies the character and enthusiasm of a true professional. There is nothing that pleases Holly more than seeing the growth and maturity of students as they move through their high school years. She is innovative in her instructional methods, currently using an upside-down curriculum which places videos and study time on the shoulders of students and encourages practice and skill building during regular class times. Her methods work so well that at one point she had a 100% passing rate on the state geometry EOC test. She is an excellent role model for her students, as every day she exhibits the unwavering dedication to the most effective teacher she can be. And the highest level of commitment is revealed when her car is consistently in the school parking lot at 8 p.m. Holly has served as a dynamic leadership class teacher, bringing high energy, organization, and team building activities not only to her leadership students, but to the whole school. Kaibe staff and students appreciate her creativity, positive outlook, and upbeat personality. As a co-knowledgeable coach, Holly is always well prepared and willing to spend whatever time is necessary to work with the team. She has served as a knowledgeable coach for the past 5 years, with the team making it to state the past 3. I'd like to pass on to you some comments from students who have had the opportunity to learn and grow in Holly's classroom. I had the privilege of being Mrs. Pryor's student in freshman geometry and again in junior pre-calculus. I witnessed countless examples of her endless patience helping students understand concepts and her many innovative ideas geared to meeting the needs of individual students. She wasn't satisfied with her students' progress, so she implemented the flipped classroom, filming each lesson and posting the lessons online so students could study at home and come to school the next day with questions. Mrs. Pryor makes math fun and exciting for all students. She is one of our school's outstanding teachers. She always has a smile on her face. She loves to get her students excited about learning, especially math, which is a hard subject for many kids. In closing, it's all about the students with Holly Pryor. What's best for students is at the heart of her mentoring, her coaching, and her teaching. She is devoted to helping her students succeed. Holly is indeed a distinguished educator. Thank you, Holly. Now I want to introduce Greg Taylor of North Franklin.
I'm not supposed to touch it, am I? Don't touch it. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to, first of all, I'd like to present Miss Judy Booker as North Franklin School District Crystal Apple Award winner. So, also at this time, I'd like to recognize all those who are here to support her family, and her friends. If they could please stand. There we are. Thank you. These days, Mrs. Booker teaches kindergarten at Connell Elementary. Kindergarten literally means children's garden, and for more than 32 years, Mrs. Booker has dedicated her life to the important work of growing children's minds and making a child's first public school experience something they will remember fondly. She attempted retirement in 2010, but was drawn back to the classroom 2 years later because of the great concern she saw for children and their educational needs. If you are lucky enough to have Mrs. Booker for your teacher, you will understand what it means to experience true creativity in the classroom. Whether students are singing, dancing, raising butterflies, going to the pumpkin patch, leading the Q and U wedding, watching a Central Washington University drama performance, participating in Grandparents' Day, or taking Zumba classes, she has a way of creating special memories and traditions that will last a lifetime. Mrs. Booker is a master in the classroom. About 80% of her students come from backgrounds of poverty, and 45% enter kindergarten only speaking Spanish. None of this matters to her because she knows all the tricks of the trade, from meeting students where they are now and helping them get to where they need to be. Mrs. Booker is a tireless advocate for children in her community. She was instrumental in bringing all-day kindergarten to North Franklin School District and is currently advocating for implementing an expanded summer school, especially for kindergarten. Students in Mrs. Booker's classroom learn the responsibility of good classroom behavior, completing daily homework, attending school, being respectful to others, and believing that there are no limits to their education. She's active in helping the entire school become an outstanding learning environment by serving on site leadership, school improvement teams, as well as the kindergarten professional learning community. Each year, Mrs. Booker develops relationships with parents built on trust. She spends time with them to help them understand their own children. Often parents and former students return years later to ask for her advice. She never hesitates to share her expertise by mentoring new teachers into the profession. She helps find their strengths and build upon them. One of her colleagues describes her as the type of an experienced educator that every new teacher should have as a resource. Mrs. Booker is very involved in her community and can be regularly found attending sports events, helping out with committees, supporting the Junior Miss program. Her generosity and wisdom have made her a beacon of light, not only to her coworkers, but to her community and, most importantly, the lives of her students. What's interesting about I had to say this, Mrs. Booker, is she was my first grade teacher. So, yeah. That's why I was very, very nervous to get up here, because I knew that the emotions are like right here, and it scares me to death. Whew. Anyway, she was a phenomenal teacher. I remember sitting on the carpet and singing all the songs as she played her guitar, all the games we played, the events that we went to. I mean, it was just a phenomenal experience, and so I appreciate her not only as Crystal Apple Award winner, but as my own teacher. Thank you. Congratulations. Next, I would like to introduce Superintendent from Pasco School District, Ms. Sandra Hill.
Greg, I'm glad I won't be the first superintendent who needs a Kleenex. I want to start off by thanking Mr. Umbarger. Where did you go? I really appreciate, he's a great example of how partnering with education plants a seed to grow this kind of event every year. And it's my firm belief we need to be honoring our teachers every day, not just once a year. So thank you for starting this, John. John Steinbeck said, "I have come to believe that a great teacher is a great artist, and teaching might even be the greatest of the arts, since the medium is the human mind and spirit." It's my honor this afternoon to introduce you to two great artists who feed young minds and spirits in Pasco every day. New Horizons High School teacher Seth Johnson and Chess Elementary teacher Jill McCullough. I know that Seth's family is in the audience. Would you please stand? And his New Horizons family too. Thank you for being here. Seth's dedication to education and to the education of students is evidenced by the many hats he wears at New Horizons. Social studies teacher, principal intern, ASB advisor, and adjunct professor for Eastern Washington University for his civics and contemporary world problems courses. Seth motivates his students to explore and question the world, while always looking for opportunities to expand and improve their world. He engages the students with relevant experiences to further their understanding of history. Since 2011, he has served as an Eastern adjunct professor, providing the opportunity for New Horizons high school students to earn college credit while in high school. New Horizons senior Jessica Osborne, who is here this evening. You want to stand up, Jessica? Jessica says about Mr. Johnson, "Mr. Johnson has pushed me to believe in myself and gave me the motivation to keep moving forward. I am now on track to graduate this year. He has been more than a teacher to me. He has been my mentor. He has been someone to talk to when I felt like giving up. I can honestly say he has impacted my life. I am still in school today because he believed in me." Seth empowers students and helps them discover their leadership qualities. Students appreciate his calm, yet forthright demeanor, and they respect his honesty. Seth is a valued colleague, mentor, and friend. Please join me in congratulating Seth Johnson, 2014 Crystal Apple Award winner. Now I know Jill has family members and her chess family here. You want to stand up? Yeah. Whoa. Oh, and her reading recovery family, too. Jill McCullough has devoted her career to Pasco students. Since 2003, she has served as a reading recovery and leveled literacy intervention specialist at Rowena Chess Elementary. But she's taught some of Pasco's highest needs students since 1992, right? I know this because, in fact, on Jill's very first day ever teaching, I visited her classroom. I'm sure she was thrilled to see me walk in. But I remember thinking even then, wow, she has that spark that's going to make a difference for kids. And at least that once in my life, I was right. Jill is thoughtful and creative as she makes learning fun for students who are struggling with reading and writing. She routinely creates beautiful books with students who are proud and inspired as they read them to others. Jill's work requires continuous assessment of students, as well as a constant and open dialogue with parents and classroom teachers to ensure that everyone is working together to support the highest needs students in learning to read. Her fellow team members say, Jill's ability to build relationships with her peers and lead in a way that is both professional and fun is a unique quality that is valued by our group. She is an outstanding example to others and is a well-respected leader who provides training and leadership to teachers throughout the district. Jill is always willing to go the extra mile to help her students find success. Luis Magana, who is now an 8th grader at McLaughlin Middle School, said, Mrs. McCullough always thought I'd become such a successful writer one day, but she's the one that comes to my mind when I take that writing MSP, because she was the first and best teacher that ever taught me how to write. She is always trying to help students and never gives up on them. Yes, Louise, a teacher's belief in her students makes all the difference. Thanks to Jill's time and attention, her students have made tremendous gains in both literacy and in confidence. Please join me in congratulating Jill McCullough, 2014 Crystal Apple Award winner. Oh, I gotta give you. I was gonna shake your hand. Oh. I was gonna give you a hug. Seth? Listen. And to all you current and former teachers here today, even though, Lance, we didn't stand up, thank you for your true artistry in teaching the children of our communities. And now it's my honor to introduce Dr. Rick Schulte, Superintendent of the Richland School District.
Congratulations to all of the winners today. I'm very pleased to be here. I'm new in the area, and so didn't know entirely what to expect with the Crystal Apple, but I came prepared and have two very, very superior teachers to introduce today. I feel very lucky to have had the opportunity to get to know them as a newcomer to Richland. I'm going to introduce to you both Jan Barber and David Holmberg. Jan is a 4th grade teacher at Lewis and Clark Elementary. David is a math teacher at Carmichael Middle School. First thing I'm going to talk about Jan. He's the one standing close to me here. Jan's been using his gift of teaching for 37 years. It's not how long somebody teaches, it's how well they teach long. And Jan has been teaching well for a long time. The data speak for themselves. Year in and year out, no matter what kind of classroom demographics he has, Jan produces students who achieve at a very, very high level. This consistently high achievement is no accident. Jan knows the curriculum back and forth. He understands how to motivate and inspire children to do their best. He's mastered the art of connecting with kids. Jan has served many years on the Lewis and Clark leadership team, where he's been instrumental in helping his colleagues set building goals and develop strategies to achieve those goals, goals that are centered on improving student achievement, which they meet. Jan started the work with fellow teachers to group all 4th graders by ability, with each teacher taking a specific group to work with. That strategy enabled students to get more specialized instruction to meet their individual needs. By spending countless hours analyzing those individual student data, Jan has been able to zero in on the skills that each student needs to move ahead and master key concepts. As a result, Lewis and Clark Elementary earned state achievement awards in 2009, 2010, and 2012. Jan was an integral part of leading the school to receive those prestigious honors. Jan knows how to get students hooked on learning by building relationships, especially at recess, where he's well known for playing kickball with the students. Jan's kickball games draw a big crowd as he teaches fundamentals and encourages positive teamwork. And a visit to Jan's classroom reveals a teacher who knows how to weave laughter and humor into a math lesson. An animated teacher who keeps his students on their toes with challenging questions, a teacher who makes learning fun for kids. But what Jan is best known for, and I've heard this time and again since coming to Richland, is Barberville. So yes, Barberville is a homegrown simulation activity incorporating all aspects of the curriculum, integrating different subject areas. It incorporates the history of Richland and Richland's alphabet houses into a culminating project that he calls Barberville, and so do we. Barberville integrates all the disciplines of math, science, English, and art. Students create their own Barberville each year. They live in Barberville, a town of cardboard homes, but complete with schools, streets, and stores that students build to scale. Students have jobs, checkbooks, and homes. They plan family budgets, and they write about their successes and failures. The science phase kicks in when Jan and the students revisit a unit on electric circuits. The students wire their cardboard homes with power, and the entire city lights up. In reading the different applications for Crystal Apple Awards, the things that impressed me most are actually the comments that were made by different staff and students and such like. So I picked out one to share about Jan from one of his colleagues at school, one of the staff members, the other teacher at Lewis and Clark. And I'd like to read that to you. This unsung hero performs at levels that put him in the top group of all teachers. He's the role model we all want to be, the mentor we all wish we had, the neighbor who never stops giving, and the teacher who will never stop teaching even after he retires. I'd like to ask all the friends and family of Jan Barber to stand up, and let's give Jan a hand too. Now I'd like to introduce David Holmberg to you. As I mentioned, David is a math teacher at Carmichael Middle School, and he comes to us from a long ways away because before he was there, he was in Milan, Italy, and he was in Saudi Arabia. So he's done a lot of things in a lot of different places. We're glad he's here in Richland. David is passionate about math. He's dedicated to helping 8th grade students succeed. He's been the math department chair at Carmichael, where he can teach any course that he wants. I guess the principal has something to say about that too, but what he's chosen to teach are the lower students, the students performing below grade level, the struggling students, many of whom are frustrated with math and lack confidence in themselves in math. But when you visit David's classroom, you see him working with a small group on the smart board, one-on-one with a student who's trying to solve a problem on an iPad, in a lot of different ways. It's readily apparent that David connects with those 8th grade students and they trust him. Rather than letting students throw in the towel or lose hope, David encourages his students to get up to grade level and beyond. He's highly skilled at recognizing the individual needs of students, and he works diligently to help them understand math concepts. At the end of their 8th grade year, these students walk out of David's classroom with confidence in their math abilities and confident that they can handle high school math courses after 8th grade. David Holmberg is an innovative teacher when it comes to using technology. He understands that technology can help struggling students succeed and that technology can help students turn the corner. He gets them feeling positive about math with tools such as the classroom website, the ALEX software individual work, smart boards for group work, and the iPad software. He gets immediate feedback on quizzes using smartphones, and most recently, and most significantly, he's made himself an expert with the flipped classroom. Now, what is the flipped classroom? If you haven't heard about that, David actually makes a video of all of his lessons that the students then can watch overnight at home and come to school the next day having already learned the concepts and doing their homework at school, getting extra training and extra assistance and help right there in the classroom, a flipped classroom. David's calm and friendly demeanor serves him well at Carmichael. He's leading the math department forward towards the new Common Core state standards. He's been a Star 2 protocol facilitator at Carmichael, and he's helping lead his colleagues continually through that process. Dave has served on the hiring committees and shared insightful perspectives regarding necessary characteristics for a successful 21st century teacher. Again, I'd like to share just one comment from many, many positive comments that were made in the application for the Crystal Apple Award, and this is from a former student. And it exemplifies some of the comments I made about David taking below-performing, below-grade level students and making them excellent and giving them confidence. This student actually, I think, is currently a high school senior, so he's succeeded. He's going to be graduating in a couple of months, and he had this to say about David. Math was never my favorite subject, and I got easily frustrated because I didn't understand math concepts. But Mr. Holmberg's patient approach to teaching changed all that. He made an effort to work one-on-one with me. He made himself available to help students before school, after school, and at lunch. He helped to restore my confidence in math. As I say, now this student is a senior who will be graduating in a little while. So that's the end of my prepared remarks, but I told you I was new to this and I didn't really know exactly what to do. Well, by watching all the other 6 superintendents before me, I learned that you're supposed to introduce family members. So I brought David's parents from Honolulu to surprise him and let them know that, so here they are. So let's have the rest of any friends and family that came here to honor David tonight, let's have you stand up and be recognized as well as I give David his award. Right, go ahead. And then they didn't tell me who to introduce. Rich is coming back up. Okay.
That's phenomenal. All the way from Honolulu. That's fantastic. Well, those of you who have been to this award before know that we've reached the mystery portion of the event, and there's a special achievement award that's going to be given. And the person who will receive this award does not know that he or she is about to receive it. And Bruce Hawkins, the superintendent from ESD 123, will come up in a second to reveal the mystery winner of the Special Achievement Award for 2014. Before we do that, I just want to say that I'm a teacher. I'm married to a teacher. Teachers shape my life, and if I talk much longer, I'm going to be like Greg and Sandra up here, getting kind of weepy. I don't know where I would be without Sister Maria Caritas, Joe Niebuhr, and even Mr. Schweinefuss. Teachers are the most important asset that a society has, without a doubt, and I think in many ways the most undervalued. So I want to congratulate all the Crystal Award Apple winners, but I want to thank all the teachers who are here today, and I'd like to just have a round of applause for that before Bruce comes up. Thank you very much, Bruce.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Planning Committee, I'd also like to recognize Bechtel National, who's been a wonderful sponsor for us. Ladies and gentlemen, please give our thanks to Columbia Basin College, who has provided this venue for years and years and years. This program will be televised. We thank Charter Communications for being here this evening and providing this wonderful tribute to our teachers. You can give them a round of applause if you want. And speaking of teachers, there's always a concern with sponsors. How are we going to run out? Because we've only recognized 191, and I can assure them of the thousands of people that are employed in education, there's still lots more to celebrate, lots more to recognize in this way. And speaking of recognition, it might be interesting for you to know what's in these envelopes, particularly those of you that would like to poach part of it. There is a McDonald's packet. Cookies by Design, you see those up here. Brochi Orchards has again provided some apples. Sports tickets from Tri-City Americans, The Fever, Dust Devils, Outback Steakhouse, Teachers World, a check for $1,000 made out in their name. And our founder has made it clear that this is to be used for something personal or for the family rather than going back into the classroom. And he claims that there's a way for him to track that. So I'd warn you about that. And then, of course, a lovely crystal apple that is a tribute to their fine efforts. So it is my privilege to announce the Special Achievement Award. I would ask past recipients of the Special Achievement Award, would you please stand? Thank you. So we go through the mystery of this. Recipients of the Special Achievement Award are pillars in our community, and especially in the field of education. This year's recipient is no stranger to the field of education, but is in a capacity that is rarely celebrated. In fact, this person has rarely missed one of these ceremonies. The individual was born at Catholic Hospital, and except for a time at college, has lived in Richland his or her entire life. Curiosity launched a lifelong pursuit of knowledge and information with a voracious appetite for learning. That curiosity and quest for education got him into trouble, exploring uncharted territory within Richland's neighborhoods, swimming in the Columbia River, and in his pursuit of the Boy Scout program. This person is gifted in understanding how things work. Mechanical, electrical, and even woodworking. This individual takes apart things, puts them back together, and has always seemed to make sense of it, except when he doesn't. No project is too difficult when somebody comes in to repair his mistakes. This individual is known far and wide by many throughout our community, and he or she is loved and cherished. I guess I've already said that it's a he, haven't I? For their positive attitude, abilities, and talents, and the fact that they make everyone laugh and feel good about themselves. This person has supported the Crystal Apple Awards, TriDeck, the Visitor and Convention Bureau, Domestic Violence Services, sporting events, crisis response services, police, fire, junior achievement, Chambers of Commerce, Rotary, and many, many others. At this time, I'd ask Molly Curtis to please escort Lloyd Swain up. The man behind the camera. Come on up, Lloyd. And as per usual in these kind of events, we have co-conspirators, and so we have somebody over here filming this in your absence. Friends and family for Lloyd, would you please stand? Yeah. Ruth is the one that wrote those things about your youth, by the way, Lloyd.
Thank you, honey.
Lloyd is the kind of person who has given voice and our communication to the community. And this goes back many, many years in getting out the information on bonds and levies and all kinds of things. He's had a lifetime of giving back to our community, is always eager to give and help others in building a bright future. He is a wonderful husband, brother, son, and has taken to his stepson and loves him like his own. Now we come to the Crystal Apple ceremonies. The founders of this ceremony and program made an effort to cause a pause to celebrate the efforts of at least 10 teachers. And of course, it has come because we have someone who can take this message to our community. Lloyd has been here I don't think you've ever missed one. I don't recall that you've ever missed one. And Lloyd's a team member of Charter Communications and has been a significant part of the Crystal Apple program. Please join me in recognizing Lloyd Swain.
Very cool. Thank you very much.